Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Demon Tech Digital. I am Neo. In this video, I am going to show you how to resize using a selection marquee and the transform functions in Photoshop. Okay. This is dealing with a raster image. If this was a shape layer, you wouldn't have to do this at all. You could just select the layer anchor points and change them the way you need to. But since this is already a rastered layer or a rastered image, this you can't really change the shape the way you want. If I hit Control T to bring up the bounding box for the layer, and say I hold shift to bring this down, if you notice, everything gets all cattywampus and screwed up, right? Well, I don't want that, obviously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to Image, Canvas Size, right? And I'm going to change this canvas to 720p. And that's going to give me the reference point of what I need. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in real close, and I'm going to make a selection, a 4-pixel wide selection, and snap a guide to it. And it's going to be on the inside of the frame from the inside edge, right? And the reason why I'm doing that is because since this is a camera frame for OBS, I want it to be able to overlay at least 4 pixels of the camera image, right? That way there, it adds to the effect. That's why there's already a shadow behind this and everything. Now, I have this actual file, and it's all shapes, and I could do this very easily with the shape layer, but what if I didn't have that file anymore? Or I just, in this case, it's easier to just manipulate this than it is to manipulate the shape layers, because then I'd have to open the file and do all that hoopla bullcrap, and I don't want to mess with it, right? So I'm going to make a selection, another 4x4 selection, and snap a guide to that, and then deselect and zoom out. See, now I have where I want the topmost and bottommost to fit inside this cam. I'm going to hit F on the keyboard to, I can't remember, it's got a free floating-ish kind of window. I can't remember what it's called. But it allows you to pan and move the canvas, so I'm okay with that. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and grab my selection tool, and I'm going to drag a selection across the whole entire canvas, and I'm going to go to Select, Transform Selection. Now, in previous versions of Photoshop, I could snap this how I want, right? Like this. Actually, it won't matter. I'm just going to snap it from the top and then the bottom, making sure that I'm doing that so that I know that for a fact that each of those edges of the bounding box is actually snapping to the guide. Now, if you are having trouble getting the guides to snap, it's in View, Snap to, and it'll be right here in Guides. All right. Now, I'm going to hit Enter. Now we have a good starting point, right? So now I'm going to grab another guide and snap it to the marquee edge and deselect. We'll have to make adjustments here later, but this is a good starting point. So the first thing we're going to do, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to zoom in. I already know that this interior is exactly where I want the marquee to land for adjustment. Now, that's just for the size. Okay, and that was, in order to do that, I did this specifically so I had the exact same dimensions here. That way there, this stays 720p. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag outside of the frame to the inside in a spot where it's a neutral spot where I know nothing's going to get disrupted. And I'm going to select this area. Now I'm going to zoom in pretty closely, select V on the keyboard to get my move tool. I'm going to click, I'm going to hold shift after I start dragging. I'm going to stop for a second here. Well, actually, I might not have to. There we go. So it's going to be about 58 pixels. Now, just like I said before, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's exactly where we want that to be. Now we're left with this little boo-boo here, right? Now we can address this in two different ways. The first way, actually, let me go, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for this side. Now, I don't want this to be on the side. I want this to be centralized. So I'm going to have to do the same exact thing here. I am going to drag this 1, 2, 3, 4. And then that's it. Okay. Now I'm going to make another selection on the outside edge in the empty parts of the canvas in between this new gap. Then I'm going to hold shift and drag it over. Holding shift just constrains it. You don't have to. It's just a force of habit for me. But we're going to basically use this piece to fix this hole here. So I'm going to hit V, hit Alt, Shift, and drag. And that just cleaned up that spot. Okay. Go to 100% again. Now this side I can't do. Not like that. And the reason why I can't do that is because, oh, actually I can. Ah, interesting. So we're going to drag it out. I tried doing this tutorial earlier and I couldn't do it like that. I had to, that's one method of doing it. So I'm going to show you another method. Let's say, for instance, you're in a really tight spot that you don't have the room. Like, say, for instance, that gap was larger and you had, say, overhang, right? Say like that. Well, you know you can't use that, right? So here's how to address that. Come up here, grab 1 pixel, and then stretch it down, making sure to exceed the shadow. Hit Control T, bring up your selection bounding box, hold Shift and drag, and then hit Enter. Just filled that up nice. And you could do the same thing over here. But since I already know that I don't have to, I'm just going to drag the mask over, duplicate it, and snap it into place. And there we go. Now the last thing I'm going to do is, I don't want this canvas, I don't want this whole image to be in OBS. I don't need it. It's a bigger file. So when you got a lot of layers, it may bog OBS down and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a 6x6 selection, and I'm going to use the same guides that I had. And I'm going to grab control. I'm going to hit control while I'm in my mask tool. You don't have to, but it's just a force of habit, so I don't have to keep going back and forth. And I'm going to drag the selection to the edge. Control allows you to get to your move tool so that you can move. And then if you hold shift, it constrains it to incremental movements by pixel per pixel. So now I'm going to go ahead and zoom out. I'm going to do the same thing over here. So make a new selection that's 6x6. Grab this here guide and snap to the edge. And then do the same thing here. We got one more. There we go. Deselect. Select hit M on the keyboard to get the marquee. Drag it out so that it snaps to each edge. Go to image and crop. Now we have something that we can work with in OBS. This is for a camera frame. Obviously, if you look at the right hand bottom corner where my ugly mush is, that's a 3D camera that I designed, but yeah, same thing. I'm making this for the Idjit cat because I want to be able to shame him so that anytime he gets out of line and I'm streaming or doing whatever, I can turn on the cam and let everybody see what he's doing, and there he can be shamed by the internet. Because why not? That's what they get. That's what they get. Shouldn't have done that. He gets on my nerves sometimes. So, but anyways, you just save this out, import it into OBS. If you want to know how to do that, you just go into your sources and select image and pick the image that you just made. You can also use a media source, which is what the camera that you're seeing, the overlay that you're seeing in the screen there, that's what that is. It's a media source. And it's designed to loop so that it always constantly animates. Anyways, that's it. I hope you guys enjoy this here video. Let me know what you think. But apart from that, you all take care, stay safe, and I'll see you on the flip side. Peace.